Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. When you think of Christmas, what comes to mind? For a lot of us, it's twinkling lights, a cozy fireplace, and of course, Santa Claus and his sleigh. But what about the magical creatures pulling that sleigh? I'm talking about the reindeer. Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Comet, Cupid, Donner, and Blitzen. And let's not forget the most famous one of all, Rudolph. Have you ever stopped to wonder where this whole idea came from? How did these Arctic animals become so central to the Christmas story? It's a fascinating tale that's more recent than you might think, and it doesn't actually start at the North Pole. So grab a cup of hot cocoa, get comfy, and let's journey back in time to uncover the secret history of Santa's reindeer. It's a story filled with poetry, advertising genius, and a little bit of ancient mythology. You won't look at Christmas the same way again. Our story begins not with a sleigh, but with a poem. In 1823, a poem titled A Visit from St. Nicholas was published anonymously. You probably know it better as "'Twas the Night Before Christmas." This poem was a game-changer. Before this, depictions of Santa Claus or St. Nicholas were all over the place. He was sometimes a tall, thin bishop, sometimes a stern figure who judged naughty children. This poem completely rebranded him into the jolly, plump, and friendly character we know and love today. But more importantly for our story, this poem was the first time Santa was ever connected with reindeer. The author, later identified as Clement Clark Moore, described St. Nick's arrival in a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer. He even gave them their names: Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Comet, Cupid, Donner, and Blitzen. You might have noticed I said Donder, not Donner. That's the original Dutch word for thunder. Blitzen is Dutch for lightning. These names added a sense of power and magic to the team. The poem was a massive hit, and its imagery quickly spread across America, cementing the idea of Santa's 8 reindeer in the public imagination. So, why reindeer? Why not horses, or bears, or some other animal? Well, Clement Clark Moore was likely inspired by the real-life Sami people of northern Scandinavia. The Sami are indigenous people who have herded reindeer for centuries. Reindeer are central to their culture and survival, providing food, clothing, and transportation. It's possible Moore heard stories about these hardy animals that could thrive in snowy Arctic conditions, and thought they'd be the perfect companions for a figure who lives at the North Pole and delivers presents in the dead of winter. It just made sense. Reindeer were real animals perfectly adapted for the job. There's also a hint of older mythology at play. In Norse mythology, the god Odin was said to ride an 8-legged horse named Sleipnir across the sky. Some scholars believe Moore might have been subtly influenced by these ancient tales of powerful, flying steeds. Combining this mythological element with the practical, real-world connection to Arctic travel created a powerful and believable image. The 8 tiny reindeer weren't just magical, they felt authentic. After Moore's poem, the image of Santa and his reindeer team became more and more popular throughout the 19th century. Artists and illustrators started depicting them in magazines, books, and greeting cards. One of the most influential was Thomas Nast, a famous cartoonist. In the 1870s and 80s, Nast created a series of illustrations for Harper Rest Weekly that standardized the modern image of Son of the Red Suit, the workshop at the North Pole, and yes, the sleigh pulled by reindeer. Nast's drawings were seen by millions and solidified the reindeer as an essential part of the Christmas legend. But the team wasn't complete. For over 100 years, there were only 8. The 9th, and arguably the most famous reindeer, wouldn't arrive until 1939. This is where the story takes a commercial turn. A man named Robert L. May, who worked as a copywriter for the Montgomery Ward department store, was asked to create a children's storybook for the store to give away as a Christmas promotion. May decided to write a story about an underdog, a reindeer who was an outcast because of a physical peculiarity. He drew inspiration from his own childhood, where he was often bullied for being small and shy. He created a character named Rudolph, a young reindeer with a big, shiny red nose that glowed. In the story, Santa is having trouble delivering presents one foggy Christmas Eve. He sees Rudolph's glowing nose and asks him to lead the sleigh, saving Christmas. The story was a heartfelt tale about embracing what makes you different. Initially, Montgomery Ward executives were hesitant. They worried that a red nose was associated with drunkenness and might not be appropriate for a children's story. But May, along with an illustrator from the art department, created a mock-up of the book that was so charming, the company changed its mind. In its first year of publication, they gave away nearly 2.5 million copies of the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer storybook. It was a phenomenal success. The story of Rudolph exploded in popularity after World War II. In 1949, Robert L. May's brother-in-law, a songwriter named Johnny Marks, adapted the story into a song. The song was first recorded by Gene Autry, and it became an instant #1 hit. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer has since become one of the best-selling Christmas songs of all time, second only to White Christmas. It was this song that truly propelled Rudolph to global stardom. Just a few years later, in 1964, the classic stop-motion animated TV special was released. This special, with its memorable characters like Hermie the Elf and Yukon Cornelius, has been broadcast every year since and has introduced Rudolph's story to generation after generation of children. It cemented Rudolph's place not just as the leader of the sleigh, but as a beloved Christmas icon in his own right. He wasn't just one of the reindeer anymore. He was the asterisk reindeer, so there you have it. The story of Santa's reindeer is a wonderful blend of old and new. It starts with a 19th century poem that reimagined St. Nicholas and gave him a team of 8 powerful, flying animals, likely inspired by the real-life reindeer herders of the Arctic and maybe a dash of Norse myth. These 8 reindeer became a standard part of Christmas folklore thanks to illustrators and storytellers. Then, over a century later, a department store copywriter created a 9th reindeer, an underdog with a glowing nose, as part of a Christmas promotion. This character, Rudolph, became an international superstar thanks to a hit song and a timeless TV special. It is amazing to think that something we consider such an ancient part of Christmas is actually a combination of a 200-year-old poem and an 80-year-old marketing campaign. It just goes to show how traditions evolve. Christmas is a living, breathing holiday that absorbs new stories and characters over time. The reindeer are a perfect example. From A Visit from St. Nicholas to the song that tops the charts every December, these magical creatures have flown from the pages of poetry and advertising right into the heart of our holiday celebrations. Next time you see a decoration of Santa's sleigh, you'll know the full story behind the team that pulls it. You'll know about Clement Clark Moore's 8 tiny reindeer, the real-world Sami people who inspired them, and Robert L. May's brilliant creation, Rudolph, the underdog who lit the way. Thanks so much for watching today. What's your favorite reindeer? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Christmas history, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories behind our favorite traditions. See you in the next video.